Have you ever wanted something so badly that no matter how many times you stumbled, no matter how many people that told you it couldn't be done, or how many obstacles you faced, you just couldn't let it go? It's that dream that lingers quietly in the back of your mind, whispering, "Not yet, keep going." Maybe you've chased it for years. Maybe you even set it aside for a while, but something inside you, that spark, made you never really stop believing. Now, imagine taking that unstoppable drive and pairing it with a mission to inspire others, and you get an incredible dynamic duo. And I'm not talking about Batman and Robin. I'm talking about two incredible women who've made it their life's work to change the way we see ourselves and what we're capable of, to redefine how we think about aging, fitness, and health, to prove that it's never too late to move your body, challenge your limits, and walk quite literally into a new version of yourself. Welcome to Small and Gutsy, the podcast spotlighting nonprofits and social enterprises with budgets under $10 million. I'm Dr. Laura Shirk-Witkoff, and I'm excited to be your host. We bring you the less told stories of organizations that are bold, passionate, and making real impact. Perhaps you will find needed services, a job, volunteer, invest in, or donate. Small and Gutsy is more than a podcast. We're a 501c3 nonprofit. We've recently been ranked number 8 on FeedSpot's top 30 social impact podcasts, number 3 and number 9 by Million Podcasts for the top 100 volunteer podcasts, and our youth empowerment episodes, respectively. We're proud of these honors, but prouder still of our mission to elevate the visibility of small but mighty change makers. Do you happen to know a nonprofit or social enterprise doing incredible work? Send them our way to laura@smallandgutsy.org. As our featured podcast organization, EverWalk's tagline shouts, "Walking is the answer." Here are just some of the benefits of daily walking: mood booster, stress reducer, cardiovascular health improver, sleep enhancer, disease preventer, cognitive booster, joint pain reliever, varicose vein delayer, weight manager. Okay, sign me up. The best news is that it takes very little to do this, and there's no excuse for our nation to be in a wellness health crisis. EverWalk is the brainchild of Diana Nyad and Bonnie Stoll, created to help all of us live longer, better, and healthier lives. Their mission and vision are to build community by walking side by side, leaving differences behind, and discovering the freedom that comes from striding together instead of sitting hunched over a screen, which is what we're doing now. But after this, we're all going for a walk. EverWalk invites you to make the commitment to become your best self. Take a moment, step outside, look at the magnificent sky, the strength of the trees, the beauty of the world around you. Feel the rhythm of your own footsteps and feel your movement under your own power. Then you remember what's possible. You feel stronger, lighter, and more alive. And in that moment, with every step forward, you're one step closer to becoming the person you've always imagined yourself to be. These two amazing women literally walk the talk. Over the years, EverWalk has grown from a spark of an idea into a national movement founded in 2016. They've hosted 4 7-day, and my guests will tell you if maybe the numbers have increased by now, 135-mile epic EverWalks, countless first Saturday EverWalks in Los Angeles, and community service walks in Key West with Habitat for Humanity. They've also led 2 EverWalk journeys, and in 2024 and 25, EverWalk partnered with a number of charities, including Walk with a Doc, the Plastic Pollution Coalition, Second Cut, and the Emergency Relief Fund of Humane World for Animals, combining the power of walking with the purpose of giving back. Every event is built on one idea. When we walk together, we leave our differences behind and move towards something bigger than ourselves. EverWalk gathers the most cutting-edge articles about the benefits of walking. That's where I got most of my information, actually, on their website. Scroll through their library to find out everything you want to know about why walking is, in fact, the answer. just to share a little history about my guest today that you may or may not know, because they're both celebrities in their own right, and it is worth sharing their stories because it really speaks to their incredible determination. 25 million people around the world held their breath as Diana and Nyad approached the Florida shore. This is where I get very teary, so forgive me. It was September 2nd, 2013, and after 35 years of dreaming, as well as a career as a prominent sports journalist filling in for National Public Radio, ABC's Wide World of Sports, the New York Times, and others, Diana had carved her place as a compelling storyteller and sought-after public speaker. In September 2019, Diana's stage show, The Swimmer, played to sold-out audiences at the storied Minetta Lane Theater in New York City. Diana's memoir, Find a Way, has earned worldwide praise. She has written 3 other books and speaks French and Spanish fluently. Diana was about to achieve what no one else ever had, to swim from Cuba to Florida without a shark cage. This was her 5th attempt. She was 64 years old. And as she had been in the water for 52 hours, 54 minutes, and 18 seconds, swimming an extraordinary 110.86 miles, when she finally staggered onto that Key West beach, sunburned, swollen, and utterly spent, she turned to the cheering crowd and spoke the words that would circle the globe. And it reminds me to do this for myself all the time. Never, ever give up. That moment became more than a victory. It became a movement. And it is the inspiration in part behind EverWalk. Messages poured in from every corner of the world, from President Obama, Hillary Clinton, from millions of ordinary people who felt lifted by Diana's story, by her philosophy she calls Find a Way. She proved once and for all that persistence and resolve can make the impossible real. The 64-year-old champion went on to share 2 more powerful statements that day. You're never too old to chase your dreams. I love that. And so importantly, it looks like a solitary sport, but in fact, it takes a team. Because behind that victory stood a woman who had been there through it all, Diana's closest friend, training partner, and head handler, Bonnie Stoll. Before EverWalk, before the Cuba swim, Bonnie Stoll had already built a legacy of her own. In the 1980s, Bonnie was a superstar on the professional racquetball tour, ranked number 5 in the nation. After earning her degree in physical education from the University of Connecticut, she taught high school PE for 3 years before moving to California in 1989. There, she launched a thriving 30-year career as a personal trainer, building her company, Workout Results, and training some of the world's most famous clients, from Rod Stewart to Diana Ross. It was during her racquetball years that Bonnie and Diana Nyad, the two, became instant friends and soon inseparable training partners. Together, they even ran a fitness company called Brava Body, appearing regularly on Good Morning America. So when Diana decided in her 60s to return to endurance swimming and take her lifelong dream one last time, there was only one person she trusted to lead her team, Bonnie Stoll. Bonnie became Diana's head handler, guiding every stroke, every feeding schedule, every crucial decision, from her perch on the escort boat that followed beside her across the open ocean. Together, they made history. Diana in the water, Bonnie on deck, a team defined by trust, focus, and deep, deep friendship. And together, they achieved what no human being had ever done before, that 110.86-mile continuous swim from Cuba to Florida. However, that story, their story, didn't end there. And in 2016, Diana and Bonnie turned that same unstoppable energy toward a new challenge, not in the water, but on land. And that's when they launched EverWalk, a national initiative to inspire millions of Americans to get going, to walk for their health, their heart, and their hope. Bonnie even joined Diana on stage again, starring alongside her in the off-Broadway hit, The Swimmer. And of course, most of us know the 2023 movie of their shared story, Nyad. 2 women, 1 dream, and a shared mission to remind us all that we have the power to move forward together. I am beyond honored to welcome my guests. And sorry for the long intro, but these 2 women deserve every bit of credit for what they have created. I am so honored to welcome Diana Nyad and Bonnie Stoll to the Small and Gutsy family. EverWalk may be small and gutsy today, But just as their joint courageous journey from Cuba to Florida, they set audacious goals with enormous impact. Let's do them proud and join their EverWalk movement. So let's get started. Welcome, Diana and Bonnie.
Well, thank you for that intro.
There's so much I want to learn about you that you can share with me by virtue of your experiences together. And I'm sorry it was a long intro, but you've done so much, and the determination that you have, start wherever you feel like starting. But
we'll start with this. That intro wasn't long. It was epic. And and with tears and everything. So we feel very honored by you, and we appreciate it so much.
I have to tell you, though, Diana, I got tearful because as a 65-year-old woman who's gone through cancer, divorce, had to reboot, regroup, stuck with the small and gutsy, even the ups and downs, that when I didn't feel like doing it, you both are a reminder to either get out and walk, get back in the water, whatever the metaphor is, but to keep going and to keep going with the supports around you. And you're a beacon of light for many of us, both of you.
Thank you. So I think, what do you say, Bonnie? Let's start with, we had several mantras, that we followed with this swim. One was find a way, but another was just plain onward. And Bonnie and I both feel that there are 8 billion people living on this planet today. Some don't have enough water to drink every day. Some, like the three of us, have some choices we can make. But everybody, all human beings, know heartache. We know disappointment. Sometimes, unfortunately, we even know tragedy. But the human condition, the thing that makes us human beings, is that we're resilient. We go down because we are all going to go down in some way, but we get back up. And so our team out in the water, yes, you should have died from the box jellyfish stings that night. And we all just decided, let's take another stroke. Let's try. Bonnie said to me, can we make it to daylight? Can we get to the sunrise? So we went onward, and that's what we're giving, hopefully, and sharing with people at EverWalk, is that, yes, all those things you mentioned, and we call ourselves walking is the answer, sort of, that's our
your
wording,
tagline.
But what we believe is, you go out and maybe you have been disappointed, maybe it's a tough day, but if you walk out your front door and decide, not long, let's just say you're going to walk a mile, but you are moving, you're taking another step. You're not sitting down and giving up. So that's really at the core of it, EverWalk.
Yeah. I love the inspiration, and I love the fact that we as human beings are resilient. And in that moment in time, sometimes we don't feel that way. But what I'm hearing you say is you move your body, you see what you're capable of, and it puts you one step closer to being that much more resilient. And so rather than thinking about how am I going to get to this next level, let me just get to the next step.
That's right.
Yeah. And it's breaking it down, right?
And the will of the human being has no end in sight. Nobody knows where we can go.
Everybody has always asked me, even now years past that swim, which is it more? Is that swim more, those 53 hours, is that more physical or is it more mental? Well, it starts with the physical. You can't do mind over matter and do no training and stand on the shore and think that your shoulders are going to be able to swim for 53 hours in the open sea. But once you are trained and you don't leave any concession behind, Bonnie will tell you that if we're out for, let's say, a 14-hour swim.
Yeah, 13 hours and 58 minutes and we're done. Now we get to the dock, swim out, another minute, I'll blow the whistle, come back, and you'll have the 15. She's a very coachable. And that being said, I think we all learn who we are walking with, who we're in charge of, who's in charge of us. Nobody, Diana for sure does not like tough love, so we take that into consideration. Don't belittle, just encourage, which is the best way.
And those words, we could go back to Napoleon, we could go back to Winston Churchill in terms of never ever give up, but I do believe when I read stories of resilience, I recently read the South African president, Nelson Mandela, autobiography, and all of these brilliant people, astronauts and scientists and politicians and everybody says, yes, of course, to succeed in life, you need some talent. You need to have some skills at what it is you're doing. Of course, you need to have some good luck, You need to have timing. Is your idea and what you're pushing going to make it right now in this world? You need to have colleagues. Like I said on that shore, it looks like the most solitary thing you could ever do. Just one set of arms are coming up, but without Bonnie on that boat and our 40 teammates, the shark experts, the jelly, I never ever would have made it. So it's more than anything, what we need is to not give up. And I think that's what the walking does for you also. You go out and say, I can take another step. I got some bad news today, but to go out and move across the curvature of the earth, and as you said before, look up at the beautiful, strong trees. Now your spirit is being fired up again. And I always said that swim wasn't necessarily physical. It wasn't necessarily mental. What it was the power of the human spirit. That's what it was more than anything else.
Yeah. Just want to comment on a few things. One is that I really appreciate that you don't subscribe or ascribe to tough love.
No.
I love that. So I want you to sort of share a little bit about that. And my guess in some way is that whatever anybody can do to get them one step forward, you celebrate.
Everybody has something that they're good at. Everybody.
Yeah.
It's how far you want to take it.
Right. And I also think that walking, or at least what you've shared a bit, is that it changes your perspective in a millisecond by just getting outside, by just standing up, by moving your position. And by doing so, you're in some way building that resilience. And then I also want you to comment on the sense of the spiritual component, because I do think that guides us. And what you're essentially doing is you're building community. It takes a village, and you're creating a village every time EverWalk goes out there because you see new people.
You know, I lived in New York City for many years, 28 years, and more, was born there, was there as a child also. But that is a place where it's sort of you're a built-in walker. If you live in New York City, if you live in London,
You have to be.
most big cities, you just have to be. You walk everywhere. You wind up at the end of the day saying, wow, wait a second, I walked 14,000 steps today just by going around town. But in many other places, we're in Los Angeles, it's a driving culture out here. But we found since we started walking, since we started EverWalk, we discover now, just in my own neighborhood, I might walk down the street and last year I saw a beautiful little lending library, you know, one of those
Oh, I
little
love those.
houses that's in a tree. And I thought, isn't that cool? I wonder when they put that up. So it turned out the man of the house came out and I said, hey, this is a beautiful little lending library. When did you build this? He said, oh no, the people who lived here before us built that 30 years ago. But
I love
I've been
it.
driving by. And so now I think Bonnie and I have really embraced this big sprawling city of LA because we walk everywhere and we get to know people. We get to know our neighbors.
It's how we get to know everything we go to.
Yeah. And we walk when we travel. We walk everywhere.
Yeah. I actually prefer walking because you stumble upon things, just as you shared, that you wouldn't normally see.
I did find coins on the ground.
And there's a tremendous empowerment to it also.
Yeah.
Like I felt, and Bonnie would say, when I'd be swimming, we trained in St. Martin, and there's an island called Anguilla. We would swim over to Anguilla. Most people take a boat. And we would swim back. And so it would take us all day long, maybe 14, 15 hours. But Bonnie, as she came back, she said, you know, we were actually traveling. We were going across the ocean to another island.
I love it.
And there's an empowerment. So when we led our one of the walks we did that we're very proud of was from Boston to Cape Elizabeth, Maine. And
I love it. Wow.
And most of these people were never athletes. They had to train for this, get those legs and feet ready. And when they reached the New Hampshire shore, because the shore bears off to the east, and when you're on the New Hampshire shore on a clear day or a clear night, you can see back to the Boston skyline. Most of our people, they welled up with tears thinking that they, with their own two little legs, walked all the way from Boston to Maine. And it was wonderful.
I love that story. Well, I had lived in Boston for about 30 years before I came to...
That's a great city.
It's a great city. And I actually initially didn't have a car. So I walked everywhere or took the subway. And for me, it was a great way to learn the city, but also connect with people. When you're walking, you connect with people.
Yeah. Business meetings, we want to go for a walk. You don't have to look that person in the face for half an hour. You're walking side by side and talking. It's great. You know, it's cold in a lot of places. It snows.
Yeah.
Maybe the weather is
Yeah.
awful. It's kind of
Yeah.
nice to walk in that. And they come
Yeah,
home.
it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting that you say that because I'm not a child therapist, but I am a therapist. And I know early on in my training, kids often and teenagers often do better and will talk more if you're not sitting across from them, but you're doing something else, either playing a game, taking a walk, whatever, because getting your body to actively do something also inspires your mind, which is, I think, part
and
of what you're saying.
We've done a lot of research, and you'll see as you were looking on our site to different articles that through the years, Virginia Woolf walked the streets of London, got her inspiration. Steve Jobs, before he died, he started taking his meetings walking outdoors. So that's often people will call us and say, "Hey, we want to talk about EverWalk," and we say, "Great, let's take an hour
Let's go
walk
for a walk.
Thursday." And,
I love
and
it.
as you
It's great.
said, a lot comes out. You're not facing a wall. You're not facing a screen. You feel open-minded. You feel joy.
Yeah.
You know?
You don't feel the pressure to have a response. And in some way, when you're walking, I think it in some way can force you to be a better listener, even if there are distractions out in the world. It's interesting. So, how did you all come up with the idea for EverWalk? I want to know that inspiration.
Okay, so there were 40 of us, 45 sometimes, on the adventure of getting Diana from one spot to the next shore. And all of us had such a sense of purpose. We all knew what we needed to do. And everybody had their own job, the kayakers, the boat drivers, which is not easy to drive a boat 2 miles an hour. 2 miles an hour, it's tough. And we really did, Diane did most of the homework, but the homework improved every swim. And Mother Nature got a little nicer and let us go, basically.
Yeah.
But about 3 weeks after the swim, we were home and we're thinking, how can we get this country, this world to feel a sense of purpose like we felt? We said, nobody really wants to swim. And we thought about cycling, but cycling, you're looking down most of the time. Everybody can walk. If they can't walk, they can roll.
Yep.
And they are in nature. And it just, nature is the greatest. It just is.
It's magical. It's
Yes.
absolutely magical.
Yeah, and I think also with that beginning, with that, formulation of what we were imagining, we also found that, by the way, there's some wonderful walking groups out there, like Walk with a Doc. We're friends with most of them. We applaud what they do. We like to combine with them and do things. But I must say that we have something going for us. And that is that we are proven all our lives. We're now in our 70s.
Amazing.
And feeling fit and feeling strong and ready to tackle all of what life has to give us. Bonnie has, since she's been 4 years old, has been an extremely active person and now taken that onto a professional level and coaching people and training people. So when we get together with these groups to take them on live events, her addition to how they can, on a rainy day, do something. If they can't get out to walk, hey, you could do these exercises. If they're injured, Bonnie knows a lot about the body. And I'm sort of known as an inspirational speaker around the world. So when people come to be with us, we add this added value of what we know about the body and the spirit. And I think it's part of the success of EverWalk, who we are.
Well, for sure. And also, you base that on your experience. And as Bonnie said, everybody had their job on the boat. When you were swimming from Cuba to Florida, everyone knew what they're supposed to do. And in some way, rather than just sitting with that as a legacy piece, which it is, it's incredible, but you wanted everyone in some way to feel what you
Yeah,
felt.
totally.
I love that because it's a gift. It's a legacy gift that goes way deeper than your personal victories. Your personal victories are amazing and was a demonstration to the world in a beautiful way. But from my reading on your website and getting to know you a little bit and then watching your doc and watching the film and experiencing what you went through, you heard at the beginning, it gets me very emotional because your life doesn't have to be over when you reach a certain age. And that's the message, that you can keep going, giving back, spreading that spiritual resilience and energy and effort. And so, yes, you bring that part of yourselves into everything that you do. And I love that you are trying to wake up the world to do this in some way. It's inspirational. It really is.
Quite clearly, Bonnie and I can't be everywhere. So we've developed and we continue to develop a series of ambassadors all around the country. And they're just wonderful, become good friends of ours from Austin, Texas to Naples, Florida. But by far, our number one, our superstar ambassador is Anne-Marie Rakovic, and she's in Manhattan. So she, for 6 years now, has been leading a walk every Saturday. And come rain, come shine, come holiday, she does a walk and she brings in, let's say, a bird docent to talk about all the birds in Central Park, or a statue docent who talks about the statues. So Bonnie and I were just there twice in a row. And when we're there, they consider us sort of the superstar celebrity. So even a bigger group comes out. But if any of your listeners, Laura, are near New York City, any Saturday, 10 a.m., hit the bridle path, go on our website, find Anne-Marie. You'll find a wonderful community there.
She gets a good 100 people, a good 100 week.
Yeah.
Well, that's amazing. But it also reminds me of when you sit in front of a computer or you're sitting in your own apartment or your home, maybe you're by yourself, there's a level of loneliness. So you're also responding to, you don't have to be isolated, you don't have to be alone. There are walking groups and there are ways that you can build a walk. And as I said before, people generally are pretty friendly when you're walking. You wave, people walk their dogs if they have dogs. And so it gets you out of that possibility of being isolated. And in New York, I think that there can be a propensity, where people walk everywhere, but they're walking to something, there's a direction. So in some way, what Anne-Marie has created is an opportunity to build community within that setting. And I think EverWalk's other piece, which you talk about actually on your website, is to build a community, regardless of whatever background you have, whatever differences you might have, you're walking together toward better health and a better outlook.
It's so interesting. Anytime somebody picks up something new and there are other people involved, it's so interesting. You go home and you say, I never would have met these people.
Yeah.
In my own life. Yeah, it's really nice.
So, walking really, if you want to look at sort of the anthropological view, is that we, Homo sapiens, were big walkers. To be absurd about it, we walked out of Africa. That's where we came from, all of us. We walked out of Africa. We discovered Asia. We discovered Europe. We walked across the land bridge from Russia to Alaska. So we have, because of the Industrial Revolution and the advent of the car and the horse carriage, etc., we have not been walkers for hundreds of years. But COVID brought us back to walking. It was
It's true.
We could be outdoors. We could wave to a neighbor across the street
And not have to talk to him.
and
Right, and not have to talk to
so
them. Right.
COVID was sort of the magic elixir that made America start to be a nation of walking. And we sometimes say, when we're trying to develop the business, we're always meeting and we're saying, well, this man over here, this woman over here, they're already walkers. They walk anyway. Why do they need us? It's because of what you just said, Laura.
Yeah.
We are a community. So we have a Facebook page, the EverWalk Nation Facebook page. And for instance, one of our big walkers who's walked every walk we've ever done, Jade Mortimer, she lives in Boston. She walked 500 miles of the Camino this summer.
Oh, wow.
She went alone. It was her vacation. But she communicated and had good luck wishes and shared her stories on our Facebook page the whole way. And now bunches of people are saying, I'm going to do the Camino next year from EverWalk. So we are a community. We are.
Yeah, and inspiration comes in all of those packages. And even if someone chooses to do something in isolation, it doesn't mean they're isolated.
That's correct.
And that's a perfect example of that, a perfect example. So just to go back to your decision at age 64 to do that swim after 30-something years,
35,
right? 35 years.
Yeah.
Where did that come from? Because I also think that that's the same inspiration that pushes EverWalk for both of you. Because Bonnie, you agreed to be Diana's handler and her right-hand person.
After I saw her do what she does best in the world. We went to Mexico for a training swim. That was it. She is one with the water.
Yeah. Yeah. Beautiful. So how did that come about with a 35-year hiatus?
Briefly to say that it was my big dream. The planet is blue. if the three of us took out a globe and looked all around, how many swims could we find? Some are in the Antarctic. They're too cold, although Lynn Cox and Louis Pugh are people who have swum a mile in the Antarctic Sea. So but people swim every day. It's really proliferated, open water swimming. Every day we can find a swim that someone's doing somewhere. And now it's true that mine was a longer one and a lifelong dream, but that dream always was my dream since childhood. I grew up in South Florida. The Cuban Revolution happened. I was standing on a beach at age 9, already a little swimmer. And my mother, I said, "Where's Cuba?" Everybody says it's forbidden now and it's right out there, but I can't see it. People say it's so close. And my mother pointed across the horizon and she said, "Havana is right there. It's just over the horizon. As a matter of fact, it's so close that you little champion swimmer, you could actually swim there." And Laura, that phrase was lodged in the back of my imagination until many years later, not even the 35 years, that was after I first tried it at age 28. But since age
Amazing.
9, that was the dream, the swim dream of my life. And now, there is something too, like when Bonnie and I first did our first long walk with a group, it was from LA to San Diego. Was it as tough as the Cuba swim? No. Did it set a record? No. But we both came home that day. We took showers, went to sleep, and we both said, we just walked from Los Angeles to San Diego. It's
Amazing.
pretty cool, So
Mm-hmm.
there is something to the epic nature of it that we like.
Yeah, I think that has to be something connected to that. And I also wonder if it's challenging yourselves and then challenging others to get on board so that they can experience that depth of spiritual connection, community, success. Like the example of the Boston group that when they got to the shores of New Hampshire to look back and think, I did that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's such an
It
amazing,
makes you
and
feel
it's
so proud of yourself.
so proud. Proud,
Good.
and it's not, again, just physical. You have to certainly train, but it's emotional. And I think there is a spiritual, as you both pointed out, an incredible spiritual quality in that.
We did those epic walks, and we called them epic because they took a week long, and people really had to train for them. To walk 20 miles a day, the
a
legs,
lot.
the feet, they got to get used to hitting the asphalt. Where we backtracked a bit just to experiment, and we did 3 of them. We call them journeys instead of epics that were 10 miles in the morning. Not that much. People could train for it more easily. And then it left us time in the afternoon to do plein air painting and the mesas of Santa Fe, to go visit
Beautiful.
the Sleepy Hollow Cemetery in the Hudson River Valley. We visited the Biltmore Estate in North Carolina, near Asheville. So as you mentioned in your introduction, we've done several walks in our home away from home, Key West, where we walk all morning and then we work for Habitat for Humanity. And even on a 10-mile walk, okay, it's not a world record. Almost everybody in our group can do that fairly easily in about 3 hours.
And we have a break at 5 miles to have a bite to eat.
Yeah.
Which is great. Yeah.
What people love about it is, yes, they love that we're walking together. The pictures of our group winding through the mesas of Santa Fe, it's very touching. And we tell life stories and we sing songs together. And you leave there feeling like you went to camp when you were 9 years old again. You love it.
I was just thinking that again, the word community keeps coming up for me. And I think it is like camp, and it is also a place where you can feel at home in some way, a sense of familiarity because you're able to walk, you've trained to a certain extent, and you can do it, even if it isn't epic in the sort of bigger sense. It is for a lot of people.
Epic for some people.
Right, exactly. That's what I was just thinking. And so with this inception of EverWalk and its growing popularity, and it really is a movement around health, where do you see it going?
One reason we work so well is that I live on a big plain. I want everything to be the world record. And I say, Bonnie, let's get 1 million people to walk across America with us. She said, could we just get 10 people to walk 10 miles with us first? Then let's talk about 1 million. Well, what I would love is for EverWalk to be a national brand, a national movement, so that no matter where you went, if somebody's a walker, people would say, oh, I love that EverWalk. I get so much information for them. I'm going to go join them the next time. I'm going to get on their virtual walks and walk every day and check in with people. I want it to be a big national movement. And what do you see?
I think a national movement is a great goal. And I hope we can get there. We're doing the best we can. And, we'll see. There are a lot of walking groups out there. And we maybe should all get together on some level.
Yeah, it'd be interesting, actually, if you got together with many of them.
Yeah.
I mean, some it sounds like you have already.
Yeah, we have.
And almost formed a, okay, this is where my
community.
consulting hat. Yeah, sort of or like you had a conference that everybody walked to from all of these groups together. Right? Wouldn't that be interesting? Because I'm a consultant on the side, and I think, boy, wouldn't it be great to get all of these ideas out there and all of these people interested from all of these groups? Doesn't matter where they subscribe to, but it would be great to have that as a national connection and then eventually international and global and be sort of everywhere.
And of course, Laura was Small and Gutsy. You know very well in your own world, nonprofit world, but in our world and all these other nonprofits that you give a showcase to. And we so appreciate your talking to us today and your enthusiasm, even your tears. We really appreciate all that. We're a nonprofit. We struggle for dollars like most nonprofits do. We refuse to give up. We believe in EverWalk. Until the day we die, we hope that it grows and becomes something after we're gone that is really huge and people are walking with us all around the world. But it isn't easy business-wise. We bang the doors of potential sponsors and we're still alive, but it isn't easy.
No, it isn't. And yet for you all, mine is sort of a platform, as you've talked about. Yours is really a public health issue. It's really, you're determined to give people a healthier life. And so in some way, I feel like it should be a prescription from everyone's physician that they should do EverWalk. Seriously, because when I read on your website and I looked at all the articles and I did my own research, the benefits are enormous.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because I had to do a little PT recently for my hip, and my physical therapist said, one knee doesn't straighten out fully. And I play tennis and I play pickleball and I go to the gym and I do all that stuff and I walk. But what was interesting is she helped me straighten it. I now walk very consciously and straighten that knee and my hip feels fine.
Beautiful.
So it's proven when you really try to understand your body and when you feel successful because you've learned the components to be able to maximize your health. And you don't even know, most people walk unconsciously. They don't even think about how their body's moving. And once you create that connection, it bridges that gap. And it can be very gratifying to realize that your body can do things that you were aching and couldn't do for a little while. So I feel like you have a public health platform. It should really be in every doctor's office, because there isn't one healthcare provider who wouldn't say, this is important.
We just actually got honored by the Orthopedic Foundation and this is a nonprofit group. And it was so nice to be there just because we're carrying on as we get older, keeping our bodies fit.
Yes, it's essential. Totally. Because it does something for both, for sure.
Laura, one thing we talk about, we're not there yet, but we would share with you as something that we've been kicking around the last 6 months is not to completely rebrand EverWalk. We like who we are and where we're going, but to have maybe a subsidiary under our umbrella called EverWalk 60 Plus. I mean,
I
after
like that.
all, Bonnie and I are 60 plus. There are a lot of 60 plus people like we were who used to love to run, but it's not great for our knees anymore. So we're just like tennis players like you are also incorporating pickleball. So we're thinking that it just makes all the sense in the world. We have friends who are in their 90s. Bonnie's mom died 2 years ago at 96.
Sorry.
At 96. Wow. I am telling you, until she was 94, she was still out walking a 16, 17-minute mile. And so
I love it.
That's the thing you can keep in your life and keep yourself strong and upright and get out instead of sitting on the couch. You can walk.
It's interesting because, our parents can tell us time and time again the same things all the time. Kids want to say, show me, and I will follow. Don't tell me. see their mom or their dad or their brother or their sister going to the gym or going outside to play tennis, it leads them in the right direction.
Yeah, it's really true. And I think, again, it does something, it's certainly physical, but doing something mentally. If I'm ever in a moment where I'm having a down moment or, worried about my nonprofit or any of that, if I can relocate and get myself outside and appreciate. And the other thing that does that for me are my pets. So having dogs, you have to go walk them. And so it forces me to get out of myself and into a different place, which I think is, for me, incredibly healthy. But you two are beyond inspiring. And I like that 60 plus idea, that EverWalk kind of extra 60
on
plus.
that.
I'm going to go back to the idea of having some kind of conference that everybody walks to who can get there. And that would be a conference for all the walking groups. And they can be invited and you get sponsors there, because I do think that's inspirational for people to keep going. And then maybe there are a couple groups that join together. Maybe there's one big, I don't know. It just came to me because I love what you're doing.
You sound like you're going to be a very good candidate to be on our board.
Only if you'll be on mine.
Good ideas. We're going to
You're
ask.
so cute. Well, I really am inspired by what you've created.
Thank you.
And again, most people can walk or roll, which I love that you said that, do the best that they can, which I really appreciate. And the fact that you've really considered that somebody doesn't have to be a marathoner or a legacy builder or this huge thing, that they can really do what they can do. And it's just getting one step forward, putting one step forward to whatever your goal is.
Walk to
And
the
I
mailbox if you haven't done anything in a while. Walk to the mailbox. Then the next day, maybe the next week, you walk to the neighbor's mailbox, something. Just get up.
The testimony just bring us to tears when people write and say, my husband died last year. I was so down. I just went into the grief-stricken position and I started watching EverWalk videos and I started small. I just went to the end of my block, to the mailbox, and came back. And now I'm walking 4 miles every day and I found my spirit again. These testimonials mean the world to us.
I think the only negative that there could possibly be about walking is it takes up time. It takes up time.
Yeah, it takes up time. But
yourself.
But you know what? Anything that you do takes time. Anything that you do
true.
that is a public out. Honestly, it takes time. If
That's
you're
very
sitting
cool.
and watching videos on a computer, before you know it, 2 hours have passed. You could have been out walking.
No kidding.
And also walking, you don't have to worry about your hair as much as swimming. Just saying.
That's true. And now with good headphones, you can listen to music if you want to. You can listen to a podcast if you want to. Right. There are lots of great things. And so I just admire
Laura.
you. So
Thanks,
one of the
Laura.
things that you may or may not know, at the end of my podcast, I always ask a round of quick and gutsy questions. So are you all ready for your quick and gutsies?
Yeah.
So what is at the top of your wish list for EverWalk? However, there's a caveat. The answer can't be money or funding, because as a nonprofit, that's what we all need.
Get the masses away from the screens and outside.
Numbers.
Walking.
We want numbers, people walking with us.
Yeah. It would be so interesting if you calculated the number of hours that teenagers or adults or whatever spend behind screens versus walking, because your point before about walking takes time. It takes less time than sitting in front of a screen because you don't get hooked up into it in the same way.
Yep.
It would be very interesting to take a look at that. If you were to think of a song that describes EverWalk, what would it be?
These boots are made for walking.
I love it. That's
And
great.
I say I'm gonna forget the artist who did it, but
That's okay.
ain't nothing gonna slow me down.
love
Nobody gonna
it.
break my stride. Oh yeah,
I love it.
So
I
that's
love
the
it.
one I forgot.
I hope you guys sing those songs when you're walking in groups. I really do. They're great.
But
Whatever
Ada sings
songs
them.
you decide.
Honey,
I love-
can't stop me from singing. So we do.
Oh, it's the best. It's the best. It keeps you going. What makes EverWalk gutsy? Because it's definitely gutsy and you're on small and gutsy. What makes you gutsy?
Bonnie is very kind. And, if someone says, I can't, I mean, not with a physical, I can't. I just don't have the spirit, the energy for it. And Bonnie will say, well, maybe tomorrow, maybe and I say, what is keeping you from getting up and getting out the door and tying your sneakers? Come on!
I don't think that she described me very well. I would say, let's go outside and take a 10-minute walk.
Right. You make
Yeah.
it small enough for somebody to be able to
Yeah,
achieve
yeah,
it.
make it
I know.
doable.
I love your dynamic duo philosophy of, it's not tough love, but it's realistic and
Yeah.
there's kindness and compassion, and then there is motivation. I hear all of that in what you just
Mhm.
shared. It's great. What is something that outsiders or maybe even a few insiders don't know about EverWalk?
I think talking the talk and then walking the walk is the best way to inspire.
And also, I think, Laura, if we're getting to be friends with you, and if we were to sit down for a dinner and really talk to you about what's happened over the 8 years of EverWalk's existence, we have come up with umpteen ideas. We thought of going to all 50 states, doing a walking competition, and going to not necessarily the capital, but going to Seattle, Washington, and that day, how many people can come out that day, and can they do better than Minnesota? But it's not easy money-wise. It's not easy.
Get the word out. You got to get the word out, and that takes advertising. That takes money.
That's it. So I guess you call it the marketing. We like what we do. We like what we know. We're always thinking about our walkers, but we're not outreaching enough people yet. So that's the next step, is to really get with a marketing firm who believes in us and has better ways. We're not business women, Bonnie and I.
We're content people.
Yeah, we never.
Right.
When we leave offices where they say, as a general rule, our business proposals are based on, ROI, right?
Yeah,
Return on
right. Return
investment.
on investment.
Said
right.
with you guys, we don't get it. Like, it's return on inspiration, ROI.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Oh, I
And
like
that's
that term
fine.
much
That
better.
sounds good,
Mhm.
but where's the investment? So I think that's what I want to see EverWalk happen, is to get a marketing firm to say, you guys are great. People are walking. Let's get those walkers connected with you.
Yeah. And I think what maybe some insiders, or outsiders don't really realize is how hard it is and how much energy it takes to get something out there. And as a nonprofit, it's even more difficult because you oftentimes, if you use any public dollars that are earmarked for clients, you can't really use it for publicity. So it's really challenging. And being in that space too, and that's why I started Small and Gutsy, to be a marketing vehicle in some way, in a small way, to get the word out. So we'll see what we can do for you on that front. It would be
Laura,
great.
you're great. Thank you.
No,
You're
I
great.
think you guys are amazing. If you could get one celebrity or influencer to endorse or talk about EverWalk, who might that be? And I know, Diana, you both are celebrities in your own right,
No.
but
Oh, no.
somebody
At a
who's,
very low level. My first choice would be Michelle Obama.
it would be terrific.
Just represents
She's
every
into health.
song that's gutsy, and she is a walker. So
Yeah.
she'd be number one.
Yeah. And she's into public health. Like, she's into health.
Yep, she is very much. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Bonnie,
Bonnie?
what about you?
Tarzan.
She said Tarzan. This is what I'm dealing with, Laura. This is what
I love that. Okay, somebody who played Tarzan or a real Tarzan. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
She means the real Tarzan.
Yeah, the real Tarzan. I love
Just
it.
lived in nature and so appreciates it and spreads the word.
Right, it spreads the word, and maybe we'll attract a few young people. We'll try to get an animator who really wants to create a Tarzan for the EverWalk, emblem. I
Maybe
love it.
that's why we've had trouble getting a lot of corporate money, because if we're in a corporate meeting and they say, let's go after a celebrity that would represent you well, and Bonnie says, I want Tarzan, maybe they doubt us when they hear these types of things.
I don't know about that. I think that they should, because it is a public health issue and they could get behind it. And look at all of the money in things like energy drinks and all of the health food that's out there. It's $1 billion, industry. I think walking could be that industry when it's pushed by the folks who are making money off those products. It would be amazing. How do folks reach you? That's the most important thing. How do folks find you? Your website's amazing. How do they find you?
I think the Facebook page is the best place right now. It's called EverWalk Nation Facebook group.
And people can join.
Yeah, people can join, and it doesn't cost them anything. And so as we develop the next stage of EverWalk, we've had many different platforms. So right now, that Facebook page is the best place to reach us directly, where we would answer back.
And would you also be able to find walks that are happening on that page as well, or more on your website?
Yeah, well, the website is really the house for our events, and we fully admit that 2026, right now, we're pulling back money-wise, so we're not going to host a big live event, but we are doing several virtual events where
Oh, I
people
think that's great.
join in, and no matter where they are, they're counting their steps and talking about what beautiful animal they saw on their walk, or whatever.
Love it. And is that captured on your website and on your Facebook?
Yeah, website.
Those stories?
For the-
Okay, website.
I'm more.
Okay.
Yeah.
So people can record what they're doing and how they're contributing from a walking perspective and send it to you.
Some days we have, okay, take a picture of anything yellow out in nature today.
Oh,
Just
I love
those
it. You
days
make
to
it
get
a game.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's great. I think gamifying stuff is so key. It's important and it engages people. And you can also then engage little kids with their families and their parents because they'll go on a little treasure hunt, which I love. So I just want to take a moment and thank you both for spending this time with me. I loved
Thanks for
it.
having me, Lily.
No, it just, I really feel like you two are onto something that's so important and so vital for our country and globally so that we can start taking back control of our own well-being when we can. Things happen, but why not have your best resilience at the forefront of whatever happens to you? And the only way to do that is to maintain both your mental and your physical resilience. And that's what you're
sounds right.
promoting here.
That's right,
It's
Laura.
wonderful.
Thank you.
Yeah.
You're a doll to give us this kind of attention and praise today. Thank you.
Thanks, Laura, really.
Yeah, now go walk. Go do what you said you do. Go walk. Please go to smallandgutsy.org to check out all of our episodes. And if you're so inclined, please purchase some Small and Gutsy merchandise, consider sponsoring an episode, or making a donation. Both are tax deductible and help keep us going and spotlighting these great organizations. The opinions and viewpoints expressed by our guests are independent and don't reflect the position or views of Small and Gutsy. Of course, we can't take responsibility outside of our own vetting of the organizations we interview, so before you sign on to support or work for them, we encourage you to do your own due diligence and research them as well. I want to thank my partners in this endeavor, the Intrinsic Group, the donors, the sponsors, and my incredible board of directors, Brianna Carmichael, John Gatto, Lucy Mello, Ari McCoy, Melissa Greitz, and Serena Rajabian, who believed in me in this project enough so to sign on to support this effort, and all the folks, friends, and family who have guided and inspired me. And thank you for listening. Together, we are spreading social impact, and you can help us. If you like this podcast, please share it with your friends. And don't forget to email me the name of any organization you feel would benefit from being interviewed. From small and gutsy to big with impact. I'm Dr. Laura Shirk-Witkoff, and thanks for listening.